Dumelang maseve. This week I am in the Land Rover Defender 130. So this is the last number of the Defender range. It's the long wheelbase. So we'll definitely do a proper review. And this is a 15,000 subscriber special. Guys! 15 blogger. What did I do to deserve that? Oh my goodness. Thank you guys so much. But anyway, back to business. Yeah, so we need to work. So let's get into it. So you guys will know I have driven the Defender before. I drove it a few months back, and I drove the 110, which is a bit of a short wheelbase. So the Defender comes in three kind of variants. It's a very short little one that's kind of like a two-door. It's the Defender 90. Then the 110 is the one I drove earlier this year, and I'll link the video below so you guys can check it out. And this is the 130, the last number, and this is a fully fledged 8-seater. So that's why it looks like a tank. I got a lot of comments about it. People were like, yo, this thing looks like a hearse. This thing looks like this, that, and the third. And I'm like, guys, come on, it doesn't look like a hearse. I think it just looks like a long tank. It looks like a tank and it feels like a tank. So obviously on the exterior, it's very much a Defender. You know, you have these round headlamps, you have the Defender badge going all around, you have the large spare wheel on the rear, these large 22-inch wheels. I mean, this is like really a big car. You even have some corrugated iron kind of material that's going on the dash. You know, I've finished in this really dark gray color, which I find to be really nice. And luckily this one doesn't have all those rugby decals that the other one had the Rugby World Cup decals. So I think it just looks a bit nice and less promo car kind of vibes. So yeah, I think it's very pretty on the outside. It's a very nice looking vehicle. Moving on to the interior, it's very functional. It's very much a Defender. You know, you have Defender detailing going on almost everywhere. This large multifunction steering wheel, this infotainment system screen, which is quite isolated and alone. You know, you have this gear lever. Remember those taxis, those gear levers to solve. So it gives it a very off-roady kind of feel, very old school Defender. You know, they kind of kept it the way the initial one was and just modernized it immensely. You have your Meridian 3D surround, which is actually the cream of the crop. And even on the interior, it's very roomy. It's a tank. You know, the windscreen is quite small. It's a tank. It's long, it's big. It also feels like a tank, man. On the inside, you have so many USB ports. You have ample space for the door bins. I am a bit disappointed in the door bins because bottled water doesn't sit upright. It doesn't have like a little bit of a slot for water or coffee. So it's just this very flat kind of door bin. So your cup holders are right next to you in the driver. There's also some kind of wooden material that's going on the interior and on the handles, which gives it a bit of a more off-roady, more cabin, more camping kind of feel and kind of atmosphere. And I think that's very, very commendable about it. Your climate control menus are still functional, normal buttons, which I'm really grateful for. You can operate it on the infotainment system, but I think that the buttons all being here is actually a very good thing. You have heated seats, you have cooled seats, you have, it's beautiful in here. I really can't get over how calming and so relaxed these interiors are. You know, it's such a pristine interior. Lots of space in the back. I had Mr. How Much with me, and him and I were just fiddling through the car trying to see how we can get to the third row of seats. He even found, like, he was so stunned to see a sunroof all the way at the back. And that's part of the special because he's part of this video. He was helping me out and driving out in the car. So shout out to Mr. How Much. I really, really, really enjoyed having him around and just doing this review with him and him helping, being my bit of a guinea pig and assistant, you know, driving the car around as I get my shot. So we literally tinkered with the car. So to move the seats at the back, you have to move them manually. They're manually adjustable. One of the seats is a 60-40 split also, so you can fit a fully fledged person. As you guys could see, that Mr. How Much fit very well in here, all the way at the back. Found a sunroof over there, so he was very much impressed. So yeah, it was actually quite cool having him in the car. And yeah, the interior as a whole is quite cool. We're gonna get into the drive and then we're gonna get into the verdict. I don't ever wanna see you work, yeah. I don't. but I stuck by you till the end. My conscience is clear, and I can move on from here. But I wish I could say the same for you, baby. Yo, Uncle Sam Bola. Now what am I spoke with him? Yo! Now when I scratch. Anyway, back to the video. So let us get into the verdict. I mean, not the verdict, man. Yo, ke jahile bathong. Ke ye and fatigue, lawon. Ke ye and fatigue. Let's get into the drive of the vehicle. It's powered by a 3-liter turbo diesel engine, which is a 6-cylinder that produces 221 kilowatts and 660 newton meters of torque, mated to an 8-speed ZF transmission. So very much a tried and tested formula. I've experienced this 3-liter before, and I think it's a very nice engine. I mean, you put your foot down, it's obviously not going to fly off the line. It just kind of carries itself quite decently. Given the size of this vehicle, it is not as agile as the 110, and it's not supposed to be. This is probably, well, we'll get into the verdict. Let's get into that a bit later, but it's not obviously as agile or as nimble as the 110 would be. Also, the 110 is not like it's like as agile as a A45, no. But there's a lot of weight added here. There's a lot of overhang with the back. With the extra row of seats, it does add a lot of weight, and you do feel it when you are driving. Other than that, I really do think it's a great car. I think Range Rover claims a consumption of around 8 or 9 liters. I've been doing 11. So, I mean, when it comes to Range Rovers, every time I have these on test, I need to make sure I at least have 1,500 Rand for fuel. Because these things are not cars that you just top up, got 2 clipper, 4 clipper. If you're topping up, like if you just want to, you need to at least have about 700 Rand. 750 Rand will give you some, it's like 700 Rand. Rona ngere mudi polongi, mudi swifty horo ajo, onyagoya from A to B konotela clippers, kero tela 100 Rand. Come on, aye. Nothing, maseve. Ain't no way. Otela 750 just horo tate. If you're going to Pretoria to Joburg, matela 5 clipper 750. But yeah, we'll get into all of that a bit later. So let's get into the verdict. So we need to just discuss the pricing now. The pricing for this car is 2.1 million Rand. And at that price point, you can get a whole lot of cars. You can get X5, GLE, Porsches, all those things, right? But I think when it comes to buying a Defender or buying into Range Rover or Land Rover, you're buying an experience. And I say this all the time, you're buying an experience. And you can probably get a V-Class for 2.1 million Rand. So that's something to also look at. But I think this car is good. I feel very nice in this car. I feel like I'm some kind of rich housewife, you know, like my husband has a lot of money and he bought me this because he has money to play. He was like, you know what, baby, I don't need to get you the 110. Just take the 130 and live your best life. Just drive a tank because I can afford it. You know, it's that kind of money. It's that, it's that money. So pricing wise, it's neither here nor there. I think pricing is very subjective. But for me, I think 2.1 million kind of makes sense for what you're getting. So now let's get into the verdict. So what do I think of the Land Rover Defender 130? To be honest, let's start with this. Defender, to be honest, for me, does not have proper direct rivals, maybe pricing wise. But segment wise and what the car is for, you have to probably rival it to proper off-roaders. So your Land Cruisers, your Prados, your LC 500, those kind of cars that are very, Jeeps, cars that, Ineos Grenadier, cars that are very well known for off-roading. Because I don't think these are on par with cars like a GLS or an X7. Yes, we can probably compare them price-wise, but I think it has an identity of its own and a very off-road, a very camping, a very adventure kind of identity. The same way I wouldn't necessarily compare a Fortuner with a X3 or a Tiguan. They might be in the same segment, but all of them have very different kind of markets. And I think the Defender is one of those cars that's mainly aimed to people who have a very adventurous lifestyle, right? Very raised ride height, you have big wheel arches, you have a lot of ground clearance on these vehicles because they need to be able to go off the beaten path, if you guys get what I'm saying. So with the Defender, in terms of rivals wise, I'm not too sure. When I got it, I said the best rival for this would have to be the Mercedes-Benz V-Class. Based on the seats and how many occupants it can take. I think the V-Class is a 7-seater, this is an 8-seater. But obviously now, because of the configuration of the seats, it's a straight microbus, staff bus. You know, I don't know, but it's a bit of an outlier when I have to explain the Defender. But as a product, I think it's a very luxurious and a very lovely car to be in, and it's very nice, albeit very off-roady. There's a lot of luxury and a lot of luxurious elements to this vehicle. I mean, like I said, you have your Meridian sound system, you have memory seats, electric seats, all these nice things that you find in Range Rovers and Land Rovers, the group as a whole. It's very, very, very well spec'd. So I think for this review, let's review it against the Defender 110. I think the Defender 110 makes a bit more sense on a daily. It's shorter, easier to park, and drives a bit nicer. This just feels a lot like a tank. You do feel like you're carrying that big spare wheel, and you do feel the overhang. Also, the spare wheel and the headrest in the middle do kind of, they impair visibility instead of, especially on the rear view mirror. So sometimes I have to switch to the camera to see quite better, especially on the rear view mirror, because there's a camera function. So that visibility is a bit impaired, so there's just those small little nuances that I don't like about it. But as a drive, as a product on a daily, quite impressed. I do think this car is better suited for people who have a lot of kids. And when I say a lot of kids, I don't mean 2, I mean 4 kids up, because it's you, your partner, and the 4 kids, maybe 5 kids, I don't know, but it needs a big family. And the one thing that I'm also quite adverse to, especially with this car, is that third row of seats compromises the boot space immensely. If you're doing a road trip and this car is fully loaded, even if it's with adults, you'll need to haka a trailer, or you'll need to have another car that has all your luggage, because that boot space is good enough for bege ya malundi. Like literally, utsena fela sbeganas sdwadlos gidlava or hoya malundi bege yo fela. It's an ankam. I'm not even lying to you guys. That's the only bag that will fit in here, especially if it has 4 occupancy. Other than that, I think the 130 is more for people with more bigger families. The 110 is the sweet spot. But this has a lot of presence, because people are like, yo, ketanga. A lot of people said it's a hearse, whatever. But there is a market for it. But I see more 110s, and I can understand why. And that is it from me, maseve. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I hope you guys enjoyed the 15,000 subscriber special featuring Mr. How Much. I used him to be part of this video, and I hope you guys enjoyed spotting him. And yeah, thank you guys so much for 15,000 subscribers. I just wanted 10 for this year, and you guys exceeded my expectations and blessed me with 5,000 more. So maybe next year, let's be a bit more ambitious, labona year-end fatigue. Let's be a bit more ambitious and say we need to get to 100,000 subscribers next year. It'll work, maybe not, whatever. But guys, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Watch the ads. Please do continue supporting local YouTube, as Mr. How Much would always say. And yeah, I'm gonna link his channel, so you guys must also go check him out. He calls his subscribers the locals, but I hope you guys all subscribe to every one of us. We are all just trying to make South African motoring very appealing. And like I always say, guys, from Pretoria to the world, man. From Pretoria to the world. So yeah, I will see you in the next one. Will there be a next one in December? Stay tuned. Subscribe. You'll find out. Bye, Maseve.